And so today we wrap up the journey that we have been taking through Dr. Dennis Kimbrough and Napoleon Hill's Think and Grow Rich. We've been talking about recognizing the innate power that we have to craft a life that works for us, a life of excellence, remembering that we are brought forth from the excellence of God and that we ought not suffer. We ought not be without. We ought to be able to demonstrate from the power that has been placed within our souls. And so this journey has brought us to what Dennis Kimbrough calls the outer space, your greatest discovery. On today, we put the capstone on this by talking about the fundamentals of fulfillment. I think he has given us some salient points about how it is we can begin to reshape our lives. He has given us some tools. They're not tools that we are unfamiliar with. One of the things that I love about this ministry is you really don't hear anything new. There is nothing new under the sun. You hear it. You've been hearing it for 50 plus years. You've been hearing it. We got it. We know it. It's in our souls. It's in our libraries. It's in our classrooms. It's on our tapes and our DVDs, our CDs. We got it. But having it and using it is two different things. We know it, but there is no such thing, as my brother would say, as undemonstrated understanding. And so today we just go ahead and put a bow on it by looking at these four fundamentals of fulfillment. The first fundamental that comes from the text is for us to choose a definite goal. He says, choose a definite goal. And before we get into it, just quickly ask, what is a goal and why is having a goal important? A goal is a systematic way to give a definite command to the infinite potential. Put that in your notes. A goal is a systematic way to give a definite command to the infinite potential. Whenever you establish a goal, what you are doing is you are, as Reverend Ike would say, you are getting definite with the infinite. When you decide in your mind that this goal, this objective, this thing is worthy of your having it, when you begin to see definitively that this is what you want and you decide to go after it, you are proclaiming to the creative intelligence that this is the thing that I desire. When you establish a goal, it says to your creative capacity that now you are serious. You won't just settle for anything. A goal is a systematic way for us to give a definite command to the infinite potential. Now, when I say infinite potential, I'm not talking about your infinite potential. When I say infinite potential, I'm not talking about the things that you have learned or the things that you know. When I say infinite potential, I am not talking about that which begins and ends with you. I'm talking about how it is that you begin to command the I am that I am. One of the things that we miss about ourselves is that we have the power and the capacity to command the infinite. But when you see yourself as finite, because you can lose sight of the fact that you have been given the power to command the infinite. Somebody give me another word for infinite. Yeah, don't be afraid. I heard you say it. Somebody give me another word for infinite. Somebody give me another word for infinite. Some of your JCI students, give me another word for infinite. Yeah, come on. When you have command, you can command the infinite. I heard Reverend Fanny say another word for infinite is God. So then a goal is a systematic way for you and I to give a definite command to the God who waits to supply the need that you ask for according to the riches in the glory of Christ in you. When we talk about the infinite, we're talking about that which is without limitation. When we talk about the infinite, we're talking about that which is boundless, immeasurable, inexhaustible. God is the infinite and eternal. So when you define for yourself what it is you want, the infinite and eternal begins to reach out into the expanse of all that is and pull back to you the thing that you desire. You have to understand who you are and what's at your disposal and what you're working with. A goal is an objective for your effort. A goal is an aim for your ambition. A goal is a destination for your desired results. The astronaut Mae Jemison said that what we find is that if we have a goal and we start to make little steps toward the goal, the mind opens up to the possibilities of what can be accomplished. Goals take on many forms. And they can have benefits for us in many areas of life. Why do you need a definite goal? You need a definite goal because you are a spiritual being. Not only do you have creative capacity, but you are connected to the creative capacity of divine mind. What does that mean? It means you're not connected to the thing that you desire. It means you're connected to that which is. Yeah, I want to let that one land. Because I think we're connected to the desire, but you're not solely connected to the thing that you want. See, you're not just connected to healing, you are connected to health. You're not just connected to money, you're connected to substance. You're not just connected to relationships that reinforce and affirm you, you are connected to love. You are not connected to something that is outside of you, you're connected to the ground of all being. And so because you are connected to that which what you desire comes from, you can have anything your mind can conceive. But sometimes we think less of ourselves. Sometimes we lose sight of ourselves. Sometimes we don't feel worthy, and we're going to talk about it in a minute. So then how do you begin to pull your goal to you? How do you begin to work with that which is? Well, my brothers and sisters, you've been doing it all along. Whenever you use your vision or you visualize, you are thinking from the end. The prophet Habakkuk said, write the vision and make it plain. Whenever you start to see in your mind's eye that which you desire, you are in essence writing the vision on the tablet of your soul, and you're saying to your creative capacity, bring this to me. Because you have the power to see, you are always saying to yourself, I see myself being it. I see myself having it. I see myself doing it. I see myself with it. We see in this political season, its political climate, candidates pulling on the fears of those who feel like somebody has taken something from them. We see candidates stirring up wounds. We see candidates who are supposed to lead us trying to take us back. We see candidates who are saying that they can make something great again, trying to leverage the horrors of the past as a means by which to encounter greatness. But we have to remember, the collective consciousness is what produces the demonstrations that we pay attention to. There could be no refresher course if some of us were not off point. And so as we prepare to move forward in this lesson, let me also just say right here, parenthetically, make sure that your vote is made and your vote is cast and your voice is heard. So that when the time comes for us to be responsible for what shows up in our experience, we won't be able to sit back and say we knew that that was going to happen when we had an opportunity to impact the change and get the thing that we wanted to see. Your goals require your commitment. And you can and should have goals on 3 levels. You should have a spiritual goal, you should have a soul goal, and you should have some body goals. The spiritual goal, let me just offer, is an opportunity for us to develop the consciousness to remember. I hope you put that in your note. The spiritual goal is for us to develop the consciousness to remember. See, remember that spiritually you are already enough. Remember that spiritually you already have everything that you need. Remember that spiritually you only need to reconnect to the truth about you. Our spiritual consciousness is developed and supported through spiritual disciplines. What does that mean? To make your goal very practical, make sure that you are consistently praying up your life. Make sure that you fast from those things that no longer serve you. Make sure that you study so that you can prove. Make sure, Reverend Shirley, that you meditate so that you can get your soul in alignment with the truth about you. Make sure that you take as a spiritual goal your spiritual development. When it comes to the soul, it's important to remember consciousness as a part of your soul growth. The things that we think and hold in consciousness become those things that show up in our life, world, and affairs. When it comes to the soul, remember that you have to guard your heart with all diligence, for out of it comes the issues of life. What am I saying? I'm saying you don't have the luxury. You and I don't have the luxury. We just can't afford to think and feel any old thing. If the things that we think and the things that we feel show up reflected in our body experience, then we ought to hold those thoughts that nourish and reinforce the ideal spirit that is within us. Is that right? For the body goal, you can have as far as you can see. I just want to suggest that you make health as one of your body goals. And when I talk body now, when we talk body, we're not just talking about this physical organism. We understand that, right? When we talk body, we're not just talking about the physical organism, because there are a number of body expressions that show up as a result of the consciousness that you hold. So I'm not just talking about you as a physical being. I'm talking about everything that shows up and reflects out in your life, world, and affairs. That is your body. Let me say it to you this way. Your neighborhood is a reflection of your body. Let me say it this way. Your peace or lack thereof in your home is a reflection of your body. Your car that starts part of the time is a reflection of your body. The boat that you sail on when the summer seas are right is a reflection of your body. The private jet that you take from Chicago to New York just so you can have lunch is a reflection of your body. And so when we talk about the body, we're not just talking about the physical organism. We're talking about those things which manifest themselves as a result of that which is working in our souls. The next point on your bulletin says what? Activate your innate power. So the next piece of a fundamental of fulfillment is for us to activate our innate power. Now we understand from basic truth that power is the idea in divine mind of authority and dominion. Is that right? So if power is the idea of authority and dominion, and if we are beings that are made in the image and after the likeness of God, and if an attribute of God is power, then if God is power, then I am power. If God is life, then I am life. If God is love, then I, as an offspring of the divine, am. So as a being who not only has power, as someone who not only has power, but is power, I want to encourage you to never handle yourself as though you were some victimless person without power. I know I snuck that one in on you. You didn't see that one coming. But there is some value in remembering that you always have power in your experience. You are never without power. You are never without power. You always have enough power to turn your situation around. How do you know that you have power? Or better yet, one of the things that keeps us from demonstrating our power is that we see ourselves through the consciousness of the human being that we show up as. See, the power is not in you as a person. The power is in you as a divine offspring of God and of God's good. See, the power is not in the title that you hold. The power is in the title that is within you. The power is not in who you know. The power is in how you have been made. And so the power that you have can never be taken away from you. But we play ourselves. We trick ourselves. We fool ourselves into believing that there is something about what we have been through that has robbed us of our power. Three things that block the flow of power. Trauma in your life can block the flow of your power. You know how trauma, like when you go through some stuff, and because you've been through some stuff, you start to see yourself through the lens of the stuff that you've been through. You can't reconcile yourself outside of the pain that you feel connected to the stuff that you've been through. You can't see yourself beyond the guilt that you have related to the stuff that you've been through. You can't find the ability to forgive yourself because somebody else didn't have a home for your heart. You have a difficult time accepting yourself because you feel inadequate around certain people. If you stop trying to get their approval, what you would find is that they would gladly give it to you once you give it to yourself. Nobody likes to be around a person who is always needy. But the trauma can overwhelm our senses and leave us emotionally stuck. And whenever you get emotionally stuck, what you find is that you have a difficult time moving past it. It's been over for years, but you can't let it go. It's in your background, but you pick up the bag and carry it with you like it's some kind of trophy. Oh, I just want to talk to you for a little bit. Because I don't believe, I know you have power. But you have to use the power that you have. It is an innate power. Your spouse can't give you power even if they write the check for you. Your employer can't give you power even though they pay you week after week. See, the power that I'm talking about is not something that the world can give. And if the world can't give it, then the world can't take it away. Trauma is a barrier that stands in the way of our flow of power. Another thing that stands in the way from the flow of power is the drama. In entertainment, drama is a specific mode of fiction. See, even if it's based upon nonfiction, what you sometimes find in a drama is that the story is recreated to make it a little more juicy. How many of us live our souls as if we were some sort of director in Hollywood? Always looking for the drama, always looking to have some sort of fictional performance that we make up in our minds to justify where we are in our life, world, and affairs. I know it's not you, and I know it's nobody on your road, but somebody on the block you live on know what I'm talking about. Drama makes us uncomfortable unless there's some messy stuff going on. Drama is the kind of thing that keeps you offended when somebody looks at you a certain kind of way. Drama is the kind of thing that you know how, like when football teams go into huddles, you're looking at it on TV, and the offense is in the huddle, and because you have a drama complex, you're convinced that the people in the huddle are talking about you. You could never play football. Every time the other team went into a huddle, they had to be talking about you. But if you take yourself that seriously, then you ought to take your power back from the people that you think are talking about you, and then you start to talk about you. I like what Jesus said. I like what Jesus said in Luke. I like what Jesus said. Jesus said, physician. Oh yeah, you got it. Jesus said, physician, heal yourself. Don't wait for somebody else to come and touch you. Don't wait for somebody else to come and pray with you. Don't wait for somebody else to come and bless you. Don't wait for somebody else to come and give you something that you already got. It's your innate power, but you have to activate it. There's one more thing that stands in the way. We forget. We lose sight of stuff. We forget. Forgetfulness stands in the way. We forget who we are. We forget that our divine nature is that as of children of God. We forget that we are spiritual beings endowed with power from on high. We forget that as spiritual beings, we have authority and dominion over our thoughts and feelings. We have power, but how are we using it? Power is, put this in your notes, power is your innate control over your thoughts and feelings. Power is your innate control over your thoughts and feelings. Can I bless you with this? If you are having a difficult time using your innate control over your thoughts and feelings, how much time do you have to be trying to leverage control over somebody else's thoughts and feelings? If you are finding that in your body expression, the things that you desire to see are not yet showing up, why in the world would you waste a second of your precious time trying to influence somebody else's innate thoughts and feelings? Don't use your power to fix them. Use your power to fix. It's your control that you must use to develop your life. As parents, one of the things that we learn is that at some point our children have minds of their own. And so what we have to do is train them up in the way that they should go. But when they remember that they have power, we got to let them do their thing, or risk spending time in jail because we messed around and killed one of them. And the last thing you want to do is give your freedom away because you had to take out an alien. You know, they lose it at some point. I'm convinced that at a certain stage, the body snatchers come and they take our good, wholesome, intelligent, loving children from us and they pull them right out of their senses. And then send them back to us with all kind of attitude. You tell them, you better tell those aliens to come get you quick. Either that or call the police because it's about to be one. No. Let me keep going. Those body snatchers must have a full-time job. So how can we work our plan? How can we plan our work? How can we plan our work? We have to remember the creative process. Remember your creative process. Remember your creative process. Remember the creative process that we see laid out for us in Genesis. If it worked for God, it can work for you. Remember the creative process. The first step is to let there be light. Remember that light represents the spiritual illumination. You have to get a clear perception of the principle back of the proposition that you're holding. You have to get you got to get it clear in your mind. And as you get it clear in your mind, remember this: God will provide. First, let there be light. Get some spiritual illumination. Remember, let the light shine on the realization that God is the source of your supply. And when you understand that God is the source of your supply, you start to rely and count upon God. The second step is let there be a firmament. Let there be some faith in the midst of what it is you're doing. Listen. Faith is necessary in order to bring forth that which you have not yet manifested. It requires the application of faith to help a healing challenge be dissolved in your life, world, and affairs. It does. Listen, when you activate your faith, you put a power to work that's beyond the power of your intellect. I know you can reason yourself to health, but let your faith do what your intellect can't. The third step is let the dry land appear. That represents our imagination. Imagination holds the key to how we shape our illumined thoughts. But we have to stop our thoughts from wandering You have to stop. See, your imagination gives you the ability to pull your thinking back to the thing that you desire. The children of Israel wandered around for 40 years, couldn't get it right, having a difficult time to see where they were going. The promised land was on the other side the whole time, but because they were wandering and roaming about, many of them wound up not going into the promise that had been prepared for them. The fourth step is let the two great lights appear in the dome. So this is the coming forth of will and understanding. The greater light is understanding, the lesser light is will. Develop your spiritual understanding. Remember that understanding does not function in the realm of form. Understanding functions in the realm of ideas. What am I saying? I'm saying you have to be able to see the potential in the idea, even if you don't understand the potential that's in you. Will is your executive faculty. Will is your ability to choose what you will after you align your will with God, but will is also your ability to choose what you are willing to do. At some point, all of this requires you to get to work. The fifth step, let there be the fish and the fowl. This represents the judgment. And remember that this faculty is exercised through our senses, the mental act of comparing and contrasting what is. Oftentimes, we judge based upon what we see. We judge based upon what we see. We judge based upon what we see. We don't bother to turn the cover from the book. We just look at the cover of the book and make a judgment about what the book is. But if you make a judgment about only what you see, what you will find is that you have judged shortly and incorrectly. The sixth step is, let us make man in our image and after our likeness. What does this mean? This means that you and I must bring together the faculty and capacity of wisdom and love. You and I have to put in the midst of that which we're trying to demonstrate wisdom and love. It's not enough to just have some insight into a thing if you don't love a thing. See, this is like when two people come together. Oh yeah, I'm gonna walk it tightly. And you need some wisdom, but you also need some love. See, wisdom without love is headstrong. Love without wisdom falls hard and sometimes can't get up. Wisdom without love gives us the ability to go at it intellectually, but not necessarily connect to it. Love without wisdom gives us the ability to attract it, but not know how to use it. Wisdom without love gives us the ability to have the inspiration and to have the intuition, but not know how to connect to it in a way that makes us understand that it takes both the thinking and the feeling nature, the wisdom and the love nature to come together. And when those things come together, what we find is that the thing is made in our image and after our likeness, and it's so beautiful, it's so lovely. When two things like wisdom and love come together, baby, you got yourself something working. The seventh step is the Sabbath. And this represents our rest. The spiritual illumination has occurred, and it's finished in consciousness. And now the mind can rest in faith. And once you have planned your work, you can work your plan. I remember this master teacher saying to us, it works if you work it. If you understand who you are and whose you are, it works if you work it. If you understand how to be definite with the infinite, it works. If you work it, if you understand how to activate your power, it works. If you work it, if you understand your creative process and you get to work, it works if you work it, but you have to work it. The only way it works for you is if you work it. You have been equipped to work it in your life. And when you work it, it blesses your work. God bless you.